everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Monday afternoon, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Down below, make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful Monday and a wonderful start to your week. Good afternoon, Keveron. It's good to have you on here. As always, thank you so much for stopping by here on this Monday. But today, since football returns this week, because Friday is the Hall of Fame game. Now, I know to most people, including myself, that means nothing because I don't watch it at all, not even one snap. But to the diehards, hey, it's football and it's not practice. It's a glorified practice, but they actually do keep score in this game. So football returns this week. So I figured since it does, I might as well do another 2025 early season preview. And today I'm going with the Michigan Wolverines. And the only reason I chose them is because, they just won the national championship a couple of years ago. And then, of course, last year was a down year. And a lot of people wanted their head coach gone in the first season. But anytime you win the national championship and you come back the next year, people want the coach gone because you're not repeating what you just done. Now, had Michigan gone 4-8 last year, then Sharon Moore may have been fired, but they weren't that bad. But after winning a national championship, it's a down season, especially missing the playoffs. And, Bryce Underwood is coming in there to be the quarterback. And if he is as good as he's supposed to be, hey there, Scarred All Might. Glad to have you here. If Bryce Underwood is as good as he's supposed to be, then I think they've got a chance to be really good. But looking at pictures of Bryce Underwood when he first got there and pictures of Bryce Underwood now, I think he's spending his NIL money on Taco Bell and Arby's and McDonald's because he's putting on some weight, and it's not the good kind of weight. But looking at their schedule, I still think they've got a chance to have a pretty good season. They play their 3 non-conference games right in a row, and then they play 9 straight games in conference. I know a lot of teams will open up with non-conference games, and then you'll, jump in conference and then play another non-conference game late in the season. Michigan doesn't do that. They play all 3 of their non-conference games the first 3 weeks, and then they're in conference play the rest of the season. First game, August 30th against New Mexico. Then they play Oklahoma on September the 6th and Central Michigan on September 13th. Now, clearly, the Oklahoma Sooners is their toughest non-conference game. New Mexico and Central Michigan shouldn't even be a challenge. If so, then I don't think Michigan's as good as some folks think they might be. And then their first conference game is on September 20th against Nebraska. Then they have their first bye week, the final weekend in September. Coming back in October on the 4th against Wisconsin. October the 11th, USC. October 18th, Washington. And October 25th against Michigan State. Then they open up November on the 1st against Purdue. And then they have their second bye week. Then they wrap up the season with Northwestern on November 15th, Maryland on November 22nd, and Ohio State on November 29th. Quick side note about Maryland. I heard their head coach last week, Mike Locksley, commenting about last year and how bad Maryland was, and he pretty much verbatim came out and said, hey, last year I lost a team. I lost the locker room, which I'm glad he said that because, it's good to have another Dabo Swinney that's an honest coach, but at the same time, you don't really hear coaches say that a whole lot until after they've been fired or after they, quit or resign. So to hear a coach who's still employed at the same time come out and say, I lost a team last year, is just something you don't ever hardly hear. Hey there, Snowbird. Glad to have you here. But Maryland was pretty bad last year. They might be a little better this year, but I don't think they're going to be much better. But looking at Michigan's schedule, I've got them going 9-3. I think this is finally the year that Ohio State beats them again. A couple of years Michigan beat them and they were the better team. Last year Ohio State was the better team and Michigan still beat them. But I think this year Ohio State finally gets back on the winning side of that rivalry. Greetings from Russia. Well, glad to have you here all the way from Russia. And tell your friends, tell your family over there in Russia all about the channel. We talk college football, the NFL, a little bit of college baseball, Major League Baseball, even though I haven't talked that much lately because I'm a Braves fan and they've been absolutely horrible. So as far as I'm concerned, until the playoffs get here, Major League Baseball is dead to me. But we talk college basketball, talk NBA, talk some wrestling. And yes, I do like Cal, Raleigh, Snowbird. I'm glad to see somebody like him having a good season, and with Aaron Judge out hurt now, although they still haven't came out and said 100% how long Aaron Judge is going to be out. But that should at least give Cal Raleigh time, unless he just goes on a complete cold spell to win the home run battle this year. And it's good to have you here from Seattle. Tell your friends, tell your family all about the channel. I enjoy seeing people from Russia and Seattle on the channel. It's good to always have somebody new tuning in. I really appreciate that. But I've got Michigan losing to Ohio State. I also think they lose to Washington, and I think they lose to Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin beating Michigan is what it's finally going to take to have Wisconsin slowly turning the corner. I don't think they're going to have no kind of great season, but I will admit that I thought Luke Fickell would do a lot more and do a lot better, a lot quicker than what he has so far at Wisconsin. But maybe beating Michigan will be the upset they need. But like I always say when I do schedules, don't look at the fact that I've got them losing to Wisconsin, Washington, and Ohio State. It's hard to predict a 12-game, schedule and pick the win-loss total and have every win right and have every loss right. That's hard to do. As long as Michigan goes 9-3, it doesn't matter what 3 losses they have. I've got the schedule right. I'm just picking some losses because I don't think they're going undefeated. Hey there, Bodie. Glad to have you here. I don't see any way they go undefeated, and then there's some games on the schedule like New Mexico and Central Michigan and Michigan State and Purdue that I just don't see them losing. So if I've got them going 9-3 and they've got 4 or 5 games, I just don't see them losing. I've got to pick losses somewhere. Thank you for subscribing, Snowbird. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. And tell your friends, tell your family all about the channel. Appreciate that very much. So 9-3 is what's really important, not who the 9 wins are against and who the 3 losses are against. But somehow, some way, there has to be a year that they lose to the Buckeyes again. They're not going to keep beating the Buckeyes every year. Now, a couple of years, Michigan was the better team, so them winning wasn't a shock. But there was a couple years, like last year, that Ohio State was the better team, and they just right now can't beat Michigan. But that's not going to last forever. It's going to end sometime, and I'll say that's this year. They've got a running back battle going on, so they have not announced who their starting running back is going to be. Although I don't think it's going to matter. I think their offense is going to run around Bryce Underwood. If he plays good, they're going to score 35 plus. If he doesn't, they're going to be lucky to score 21. So really, who the running back is doesn't matter. Their offense is going to be all about Bryce Underwood. So I do think they'll improve a little bit from last year, but if they do go 9-3, I'm not sure if that's good enough for the playoffs or not. It all depends on what the other teams in the Big Ten do, because a lot of people think Ohio State takes a huge step back this year. I'm not one of those people. I think the Buckeyes still go 11-1 or 10-2, and if they do, they're in the playoffs. So it all depends on what we see out of teams like Wisconsin and USC and Washington, all depending on if Michigan makes the playoffs or not. 9-3 might be good enough. 6-3 in the Big Ten, because they're going to go undefeated out of conference. If they don't beat New Mexico and Central Michigan by at least 25 points in both those games, they're in for a long season. New Mexico's awful, and Central Michigan is awful. Those two games shouldn't be close. Now, the Oklahoma game will be close. I think Oklahoma will hang with them, but I do think Michigan will win. But I think it's pretty obvious that Oklahoma is their toughest non-conference game. So Michigan goes 6-3 in the Big Ten, 9-3 overall. Their losses come to Wisconsin on October the 4th, Washington on October the 18th, and wrapping up the season, Thanksgiving weekend, November 29th, against Ohio State. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Went on a blind date this afternoon. Just can't see it going anywhere. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Hey there, Layla. Glad you stopped by on this Monday. Bye.